Hey guys, welcome to the Travel Bros podcast. We are back. Episode 11, 12, 13, 14, somewhere in that
Somewhere in
ballpark.
there.
I have no idea, but I'll figure it out before it gets uploaded. Today, I think we got a really cool episode. Jamie and I picked suites under $5,000 a night. We're super excited to stay at. I picked all mine in North America, and I thought I told Jamie to do the same, but I did not. So Jamie's Mr. Worldwide over here. All of
Try to
mine
mix it
are
up a little bit.
All of mine are in North America, but that's okay. You can leave in the comments that my suites are better when it's all said and done. Trying to avoid talking about the weather this morning. I got a few interesting stories and tidbits. I don't know if you remember, but in 2015, 2016, Marriott acquired Starwood Hotels, which was SPG, which involved Sheraton, St. Regis, Westin, a couple other brands of that nature, Le Méridien. And Marriott has now sold back the name. All the hotels are still under Marriott to the original founder of SPG Hotels. And he, in the meantime, has started up some other hotels like One Hotel, Baccarat Hotel. And so maybe there's a chance that he's making a comeback. It seems like it. I was looking at some stories. There's not a ton of detail, but it looks like they've got 22 new hotels in the pipeline. They've got 30 or so hotels already built. And so, I mean, you're talking, they're already the size of Omni hotels, which is pretty crazy. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I was going to say, and it looks like pretty fun locations, right? I mean, we were talking Maldives and some other cool spots coming. So this is probably going to be upmarket, I'm guessing. So what are we thinking? Maybe like St. Regis level hotels all over the place?
I hope so. I will say the one thing on One Hotels that I've heard from people is that there seems to be some service issues at the price point level. Like the service is not bad, but some of these One Hotels are $1,800 a night and it's not quite there. So I'd be curious to stay at some of the other ones too. I think they've got one in Austin, they've got Seattle, some other places. So if we get some other clients into some of those with some proper expectations, I'd be real interested. Yeah, and they said they're doing Dubai, Maldives, Rome, Miami, and they've got a Baccarat hotel now in New York. So, it's always nice when new chains, new things are happening in the industry for sure.
I'll be curious if they roll them all under, back under the Starwood name, if it becomes a better, brand standard across all the properties. Maybe that cleans it up where there's a, bigger focus on service from the top down versus right now they probably operate as siloed brands, I imagine.
Right. That's what I'm hoping, I think, as well. And so, I think Starwood is really like the biggest driver of loyalty programs. If I remember right, when I was reading some notes, like they were the first ever loyalty program to offer like suite upgrades. That was like something Starwood created. They are the ones that created guaranteed late checkout. So I think with him back in the industry of nothing else, I think it could push a lot of these other chains to have to compete with him if he can get big and relevant enough. So that's exciting, of course.
That would be exciting.
All right. That's news note number one. News note number two is a little cautionary tale of what happens when you just are roguely booking hotels. Now, I don't want to fearmonger, and 9 times out of 10, you could book a hotel through any of these third-party platforms, whether it be Travelocity, Expedia, Hotels.com, Capital One Travel, blah, 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 blah. The problem is in that 10% or 5% or 1% of the time there's an issue, it's kind of a nightmare, right? There's not a lot of customer service on that end. There's a lot of clear things. And we are in a Facebook group where we've been seeing all these people booked at a nice property where, let's say, there's multiple, towers and options. People booked into this much more expensive option, and now for some reason have been like switched into a different tower. And someone posted about it and we were like, this is kind of crazy. Like, what a weird situation. And all of a sudden in the comments, it's like, this happened to me too. This happened to me too. And it's like,
yeah.
And no one's really getting any resolution quickly, at least. And it's like, look, man, your life's stressful enough. Do you really need all this stress for, what should be a fun vacation? So I think it's definitely, obviously we're biased as, people who book travel. But we'd love to help you out in any circumstance. But even if you're just booking something super simple, you don't think needs an agent or an advisor, I would at least, unless you're saving a lot of money or there's some really good perk or benefit, which sometimes there is. We've caught some things where we were like, there was a hotel that somehow they were rolling free flights into.
Yeah, that was
at one
crazy.
point. And we
Would
couldn't even
someone
figure it out. It was like the same price as the direct site, but it had a free flight. But that's like very one-off.
But yeah, I think I would agree. I mean, booking direct, because then at least you can go to the property, or if you use a travel agent, you go to us and we can try and sort things out. But yeah, if you book through a third party, Expedia, Travelocity, I don't want to say you're typically not treated as well as the direct booking person. Like, they're going to get priority if something goes sideways, in my experience. And then also, you don't really have a good point of contact, right? So if something happens, you're calling the third party, they're trying to reach out to the hotel, you're calling a call center essentially. Like, they're not experts in any one property or one location or anything like that. So it can be tough, right? So I think great advice, book direct or book with a travel agent that can basically have contact on the property to get something sorted out for you. Because that's a crazy situation going on. And I don't know if that's a hotel issue or if it's an Expedia showed the wrong price issue or whatever that may be.
Yeah, right. And I think one of the issues too is like, you're right, you are calling a call center, and then you're also hoping that you can describe what is happening in detail enough to someone at a call center that then they can turn around and explain it to a hotel or someone else. And if something isn't connected all the way through, they're going to be like, no, I see that you booked this. And then they're just going to repeat that to you. And I just wanted to bring it up. I was trying to avoid, like I said, talking about the weather at the beginning of every episode because that's not that exciting. And it was just something interesting that I came across this week. And we talked about it before recording. It's like, not everybody thinks about that, or that's not as, to us and people who book a lot of travel and stuff, it's very obvious, but it's just a good PSA in general for some people that aren't as well versed in travel.
Yeah, and I will caveat too, and I think the laws have probably changed since my experience, and I think they're better at showing all the fees and stuff that may happen. But before I got into travel, I mean, this was probably 10 plus years ago. It was my first trip to Vegas. I booked a hotel in Vegas. I didn't realize I was going to be paying another like $35 or $50 a night in resort fees when I checked in. And at that time, like, that was a budget buster. Like, hey, an extra $250 I wasn't expecting on a 5-night trip. Like, that was a lot of money considering the hotel was probably $150 or $200 a night. That was like a 20% cost increase. And that's one thing you'll see. Like I said, I think it's better now when you book through a third party, but sometimes you're not even if you disclose, you may not be prepaying it up front, where typically when you're booking direct with a property, they're the ones collecting it. So they're going to make sure you see that when you're booking.
Yeah, that's another good point I didn't think about too. Like, when you're booking direct, it's getting, rolled in and roped in. And listen, there's obviously circumstances and reasons you'd want to book third party, like Amex Platinum card holders get their FHR credit and things. And I understand, but just keep in mind, I think the bigger the trip and the more important whatever you're doing is, use your FHR credit on a one night sleep in Chicago when you're overnighting or something. Don't rope that into your 10-year anniversary trip or something. I think is just my general advice. But anyway,
Yeah, I would agree.
let's talk some suites.
All right.
I'm really excited. I hadn't even told you about one of mine.
I know, I'm excited for this one. And so just to recap, right, we're doing under 5K per night.
Yep.
Max. And these could be, right, all suites. So no regular hotel rooms, I don't think. So all suites of some sort.
Yep. And then, like I said, I'm North America. You went a little rogue. That's okay.
I did.
Who should we start off first?
Are you saving your
no, I'm going to do it first.
one that we don't know about for last? Or is that good?
Let's start with it. Okay. If you've heard of this hotel, I'm going to be upset, but let's give it a shot. Hey, the name of this suite is called the Flat Earth Suite. So I was already super excited. Before I tell you the hotel, I'm going to read you a little bit about this suite. It's kind of interesting. It is really hard to get to. It's the captain's quarters, the Flat Earth Suite, a sublime 1,100 square foot outpost sanctuary in a world unto itself. It's oriented to the east, so you have a distinctive 2-story corner with commanding views of the north, east, and south. Comes with, walk-in shower, soaker tub, a wood stove to keep you warm. And then you got 1.5 bath. Dude, it's a pretty sweet setup. It is the Fogo Island Inn in Newfoundland, Canada. Now,
I've not heard of this one.
This place is, it's impossible to get to, I would argue. Listen, my hesitance to go myself, I got so hyped and gassed up on this place and then looking at it and I was like, oh, this is brilliant. And then you look at what you need. So for those of you that don't know, Canada that well. You've probably heard of like maybe if not, Montreal, Toronto. Fogo Island is like this little piece of Canada that is north of mainland Canada, but south of Greenland. So you're way up there. Like you're almost in Greenland, basically, if you think about it. So for perspective, the closest like main airport you've heard of is St. John's. Some people might have heard that, which is on Fogo Island. Interestingly, St. John's has a direct flight to Paris and Frankfurt.
Interesting.
So that's a plot twist. I mean, to tell you how far this is, the Paris to St. John's flight is only 6 hours. I imagine you can't get there within 6 hours of anywhere in North America, except maybe Toronto, Montreal. So it's a 3-hour flight from Toronto. It's a 2.5-hour flight from Montreal. So it's not close. Your only options from North America are either Halifax, Montreal, or Toronto. There's no U.S. lift there. So you're looking at a transfer. But this place is so remote and it's so cool. Like all the activities, like if you're an outdoor person, it just seems like there's so much to do. Obviously, you've got summertime activities and then wintertime. Now, they have to close in like the harsh winter months. Like right now, they're closed. But I think they're set to reopen in April. I don't know. It found some video and some content of the place. It really took me back. It is full board inclusive. The nights that I looked at, we were just under. It was about $4,800 a night with tax.
That's all in, you said. So they're feeding you food, drink, everything.
Yep, max occupancy of 3. They do provide laundry service. You've got heated towel racks, heated toilet, no air conditioning, which could be rough. But like
Not
I said,
needed.
you are almost up in Greenland. And then the cool thing is, it's in this rugged terrain. But when you look at the hotel, I don't know if you pulled it up. It's like right on
I'm
the
looking
ocean.
at it right now.
Yeah,
It's the Fogo Island Inn, right?
Yep. Dude, it's pretty sick.
It looks cool. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
It actually looks like, I think what was that hotel you stayed at in Iceland?
Yeah, the Ion Hotel in Iceland.
It's a similar shape, right?
It has that similar like style to it for sure. But they've got these old school little, I don't know, it's very like high-end cabin looking. And I'll say this, like the Ion Hotel in Iceland, I enjoyed it. It's really remote. It's cool. The spa's all geothermal driven. There's like everything's run there off a geothermal power plant. But the hotel itself is very like IKEA. Like it just literally looks like they like robbed an IKEA or shopped at IKEA. It's just very like uncreative, very like, this is the hotel. And what really caught my mind about this Fogo Island is like there's like cool wallpaper on the walls. There's unique, design. Like there's like, it looks very like a hip cabin environment, which is kind of what
I'm looking at some of the pictures on here. Like the bathtub looking out over the ocean. I mean, it looks amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And so I kind of just stumbled upon this place by accident, and I was like, this place is incredible. Now, there are some cheaper options. The base rooms, if you want to get in there, I would say are about $18,000 to $2,000 a night. This Flat Earth suite is like their presidential suite, essentially. Then there's some family suites if you want to go there. Downside, like I said, is getting there, I think, is the one thing that really would turn me off to doing like a big weekend out there. But you go through their site, they've got these activities where you're out on these little like boats going to see these huge glaciers. I imagine there's some cool animal life and stuff out there as well. So if you needed like a long weekend to unplug, I think, this is it. Or like I would roll this into some longer Canada trip, perhaps.
Yeah, man, it looks awesome.
It looked beautiful in the summer. It looked beautiful in the winter. It was in budget. I imagine you could do some good whale watching out there as well. I mean, even if you just do some research like through TripAdvisor, they have a value score of 4.6, but every other category is 4.9 or 5. Location, rooms, cleanliness, service, and sleep quality are all 4.9 or 5.0. Value is the only thing people ding them on, which, fair enough.
If you're in for $5,000 a night, I can see that.
But I don't know. It wasn't on my radar. I wanted to avoid just like throwing beach hotels out there for the whole suite stay, and this was my big pick. This was my big unveil. So I'm glad you're semi-impressed.
I'm impressed with that one. That's a really cool one. And I think for mine, I'm going to go a little bit out of order just to kind of stick with this remote theme if I'm going next.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to probably massacre the way I'm saying the name of this place. So this place is called Kakslauttanen So we could probably put the spelling up there. But this is in Finland. And again, this is pretty remote. So this is up, you fly into Helsinki and then it's way up north. This is a 3-bedroom log and glass igloo accommodation. So I stumbled upon this, probably similar to how you did, just looking for some fun, interesting ideas. So what's cool about this one is it is a 3-bedroom. So you can sleep, I think it's 6 or 8 people in this thing. And it's kind of interesting. Well, it says 3 bedrooms. There's 3 bedrooms plus 3 igloos that you can also sleep in. And the way it's set up, it's this big living area. It's got fireplace, tons of seating, like really nice. And then on the front of it, there's 3 glass domes that like jut out that have where you can actually sleep in. So you can see the northern lights from your room, or you can actually then sleep in what you would consider like a traditional bedroom that's got, a door and everything on it. But all the furniture here, it's super rustic. It's all log, handmade furniture. They actually deliver firewood every day. So you have a daily firewood delivery that gets brought to your room so you can have fires. I mean, it just looks really cool. It's super rustic. I've been wanting to see Northern Lights. So this is actually, I'm hoping to go to Finland the next year or so. This is probably a little bit more than my budget's going to allow, but, maybe I can do a 1-bedroom or something. This place is pretty remote. So this is half board, but you can do all your meals and stuff on site. The place just looks really, I don't know how to describe it other than it's like a log cabin with these glass igloos that you can kind of sleep in and see the Northern Lights. And there's tons of stuff to do here year round. So winter, I'm going to just read some of the stuff that I had. They've got husky safaris, reindeer safaris, snowmobile safaris, ice karting. You've got aurora, so northern light hunting, ice fishing, cross-country skiing, downhill skiing and snowboarding. I'm not sure exactly how close that is, but in my opinion, winter would be the time that I would want to go. It just looks pretty magical with the snow and everything around it. If you go around the holidays, Santa's celebration house is actually there, which looks like a Christmas wonderland. So that would be a cool thing to check out. And then autumn, so springtime, you've got fishing trips, horse safari. There's rivers you can go to. There's hiking, mushroom and berry picking, canoeing, ATV safari, mountain biking. There's tons and tons of activities here. Summertime, they have gold panning, horse safaris, midnight sun spotting. You can do hiking, ATVing, mountain biking, canoeing, whitewater rafting, fishing trips, and then more mountain and berry picking. So this ranged from like $3,500 to $4,000 a night, but it is 3 bedrooms. So you split that up, it becomes pretty reasonable if you have the right either family or mix of friends. So I don't know if you got a chance to check this out, but it looks pretty cool.
And it looks like there's saunas in the bathrooms, which is also pretty.
Yeah. So this has a sauna. I did not. I had it in my notes, but I didn't talk about it. But yeah, there's a sauna in the building, so you can do your steam and sauna there and go jump in the snow if you want to.
I say cold plunge in the snow.
Yep.
This is awesome. Did you cover how you're supposed to get to this place?
So you'd fly into Helsinki, and then I imagine you'd rent a car to drive up to it. I looked at it on a map. It's not an easy, it's not close, but there is another airport that was closer to it. But I would imagine if you do that, it's going to be like a puddle jumper or small plane from Helsinki to get there.
Interesting. It's like, I'm a drive everywhere kind of person, but man, this looks a little rough. Let's see.
Let me see what this airport is.
Helsinki, Finland. You've got a 12-hour drive, so hopefully there's somewhere you can find it.
There is an airport 30 minutes away that I pulled up. What was the name of this place? Yeah. I can find it and we can maybe put it in the comments, but there is a closer airport that I would imagine you can fly to Helsinki and then connect through it.
Or I imagine you could probably fly, like Stockholm, Oslo. You're actually getting really close to this place I have tagged, Tremoso, Norway, which I started to build a plan of a trip up there. I wondered maybe if I could sneak that in. So you're actually not that far. I think the problem is like traveling through there is like so hard. Let me see how far these are. Could like loop it in. That's an 8-hour drive, but it's also because you can't really drive direct. But you're getting definitely way up there into the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, I feel like you got a good shot at seeing Northern Lights a good chunk of the year here.
Probably. Well, interesting. Okay, I like it. I think I'm going to warm us up hopefully with this next one because I feel like we've gone a little cold here for the beginning of this episode. I was struggling and go ahead. What were you saying? Something?
I was going to say, where are we going next?
we are going to a Rosewood hotel property, Little Dick's Bay in the British Virgin Islands. I was trying to find somewhere in the Caribbean we hadn't really talked about. The British Virgin Islands qualified for that. That's actually somewhere I haven't even been. I stumbled across this really interesting hotel. But like I said, it is a Rosewood, and they call it a treehouse suite. It's meant, from how I read it, is they're like kind of doing tribute to like the old stilt houses that were built in that area back in the 60s, I guess. And so the bedroom and living room is like elevated off the ground, and then they do these like wraparound terraces, and they have these real cool like indoor outdoor rain shower thing going on.
Very cool.
It's a super high ceiling as well. And so I don't know. It was just like, it's not the most like stunning or breathtaking suite you've ever seen, but it was pretty unique, I felt like. It does take you a little bit away from the beach for people that are like must be on the beach. The hotel,
I'm looking at pictures. Are these the ones like kind of up on the hill, looking out
yes,
over?
a little bit, yeah. And
The
so
views look amazing.
yeah, they do. I was gonna say they do have really cool views, and I think the other thing I really liked about these two is that they have really. If you look on some of the pictures, like on their website, I don't think it does it justice, but it's like a really high ceiling. So it's like a big like arched bedroom, and your room's like in the middle. So all the rooms are one king bed, which, it can be inconvenient for some. They do up to 4 guests for the room. So I imagine there's some kind of rollaway situation, but I didn't quite get that deep into the details. It's a little shy of 1,000 square feet. So it's not the biggest suite, which I'd look at as well as a downside. But I found this property really interesting. The British Virgin Islands, as long as you're not dealing in hurricane season, even for most of hurricane season, I don't think there's really like a unfortunate, unless you're there during an actual hurricane, I don't think it's that bad, obviously. And I really like the way the room is laid out. So if you're actually looking at the room, it is, so you've got there's like the two buildings essentially. So that's all one room. So you're not like sharing a wall with a room. You're all by yourself. And so you've got one side of the room has the bedroom in the center, like over the treehouse side. And then the living room is centered in the other side. And then there's doors between the two. And then the bathroom's in the back. And then you've got a huge 380 square foot terrace in the front with like sun chairs, a table sitting. And then there's like a pathway down one side that then you can walk over down to the beach on these.
Yeah, these are cool. I pulled it up and looking at it. These are really neat.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not like the largest or fanciest suite, but I found it was a little bit unique. And I think too, if you had like a bigger group or, a situation like you have 2 older kids, it allows for adults. So I kind of like the idea of like you and the wife in the room, and then you've got the doors that separate, and then the kids have an equal sized living room, whether it's a pull out or they bring a sofa bed in. And then one of the unique things is the way the room is shaped. The bathroom can actually be accessed. It is one bath, but it can be accessed from both sides.
That's nice.
Which I think is,
I mean,
so
this
there's
looks
like
like a great layout especially with kids, particularly with suites. It's rare that you get, not a lot of them allow 4 people, which is not great.
Exactly. And then also then too, sometimes when they allow that and it's like, well, the kids have to like come through your room to go to the bathroom and stuff is just not the most convenient, obviously. There's a little bar set up in the living room. And I think the indoor-outdoor shower thing I like, because one of those things is like, I like the idea of an outdoor shower, but I also don't like being forced to take an outdoor shower.
Yeah.
Like when we were in the Maldives, we only had an outdoor shower, and it was like really cool the first night, kind of cool the second night. By like the 5th or 6th night I was there, I was like, I just want to shower in peace, And then it's like, it rains, and then it's like, well, is there even a point in taking a shower? I don't know. I didn't have this on my radar. Have you been to British Virgin Islands?
Oh, only on a cruise. I have not stayed there.
Okay. Haven't either.
So that would be, I mean, that's cool. It looks, the island and the beach, I'm just looking at pictures of it. I mean, Rosewood obviously always does things really well. So it doesn't look like a huge resort. So I feel like there's no other resorts near it. You probably have that beach to yourself for the most part. It looks really nice.
Yeah, let me pull up the room count. Yeah, it's only 81 rooms, 42 guest rooms, 35 suites, and then there's the 2 beach houses and 2 villas. So it is a pretty small property. It seems designed really well, which I guess shouldn't be that surprising from a Rosewood standpoint. And I also think Rosewood dials in food and beverage really well, which is super important when you're here because, you're so remote. So it's like the reality of you leaving property for every meal, I think, is pretty low. And so if
Yeah,
you're
that it
paying
becomes daunting.
Mhm. Well, but sometimes some of these higher end hotels just have real bad food and bev, which is a shame. But yeah, like I said, those suites drew my eye. And then I think just like looking around the whole property, the beach looks really nice. They did really well. Like if you look where they do the main food and beverage, it's like this really cool, like A-frame open air building that I liked. And they have a lot of seating on some of these like cliffs as you go up the bay. They have like a yoga tower essentially on one side, and it looked fun. All the typical things you can do. It's from some of the reviews and things I was reading. There's snorkeling right out. You can essentially just swim out into that bay, see some stuff snorkeling as well. They have a dock for boats and people going in and out with activities. But yeah, I was pretty stoked on it. And that
Yeah, it
price
looks nice.
was
That's a good one.
yeah, most nights that I saw it, as long as you weren't in peak, like, Christmas or Thanksgiving, $2,000 to $3,000 a night. So not
That's not
unreasonable. I
bad.
mean, yeah, you're half our budget for one of those, which I was pretty pleased with. What's your next one?
So we're gonna bust the budget on the next one. So this next one I'm gonna hit is a celebrity hotspot. So this hotel is a favorite location of Kylie Jenner and Justin Bieber, and tons of other celebrities come to this place. And this is going to be Amangiri in Canyon Point, Utah. If you're familiar with it, this is a beautiful property. This is, I mean, the pool looks amazing. It's got this giant rock formation in the middle. Like the whole resort's built around this giant rock that like juts up out of the ground. So super beautiful property. Service is great. Stays are going to be all inclusive other than alcohol. So this is full board. It's going to include round trip transfer from the airport. They do daily guided hikes. They do some in-room refreshments, group wellness classes. So really a ton of stuff is going to be included in this price, similar to, the first one you had mentioned. So while yes, it is going to be a very expensive stay, you don't have to worry about a ton once you're there. The property or the room that I'm going to talk about here is the Mesa Pool Suite. So this is going to run you pretty much right up to your $5,000 budget. This room is 1,572 square feet. But some of the really cool features in this room is you actually have a private swimming pool. And right by the private swimming pool, you've also got some loungers and stuff. So that looks really nice. You've also have a private fire pit that kind of looks out over the mesa. So you've got, sunset views. You can see the stars, right? There's nothing around. This is set on like a 900-acre piece of land. So at night, there's great star viewing. You can sit out on your patio with your fire pit. It's just really beautiful. Then you also got a soaking tub in your suite. So again, they have this set up where it looks out over the mesa. So you've got really great views of, just the open expanse. You've got twin rain showers. So really nice big shower area. And then you also, I believe, let me see if I'm making this up. I believe you also have an outdoor shower. Double check on that. One of the other really cool features, and this is probably, I don't know if it's my favorite. I like having the private pool, but you have a sky terrace. So you have actual stairs that you kind of go up on the top of your bedroom.
Okay.
And you can hang out up there and kind of look out over, the mesa and the stars and everything like that. So this is really cool. I don't know. It's just a really cool setup. It looks really nice. The only problem I think is having your own private pool. You may not want to leave. And the main hotel pool is, to me, one of the most beautiful pools I've seen at a hotel, being built around the rock and the views
It
from
does look
there.
cool, especially like
And
in
it's
the
also
evening.
yeah, I can imagine hanging out there, probably still nice and warm, star views. I mean, just looking out over just the expanse, all the rock formations and everything looks really pretty. And the property itself is not very big. I believe it is, 34 suites total. So, I mean, and most people coming here, it's probably going to be couples. So what are you talking? Full occupancy, 68 people, plus or minus. So probably the service is supposed to be really great here. It's not going to be crowded. You probably get to know some people when you're going on these hikes and stuff, which is cool. Like food and everything's included other than alcohol. So this is obviously not this $5,000 room, but this property is on my list to try to get to for a special occasion of some sort, even if it's just for a couple nights, because it looks fantastic.
Let me ask you a question. I'm shocked anything here was under your $5,000 budget. I mean, I'm excited, but shocked. What is a base room? Like, what's the minimum you need to get into this place?
Let me take a look. I'm going to try and find the low season so I can give you.
And then while you look at that, my follow-up question is, do you think this is the best hotel in North America? Well, I mean, you haven't stayed there, but what's your bold proclamation?
It's probably up there. It looks like base room you can get in the high 3,000s. Like if you book ahead, like I'm looking in January, February, you've got 3,800. So, I mean, you can get in there. Insane. So like really, mine was low season, right? So I'm busting the budget in low season. I mean, on average, you are probably talking $5,000 a night to stay at this property, unless there's a promo of some sort going on.
Okay. I mean, so also though, realistically, man, that's tough. I mean, the suite premium isn't really that high then.
It didn't seem too bad because I mean, even the standard rooms look pretty amazing. Well,
sure.
I think technically every room is a suite. Because it's 34 suites is what I'm just pulling up what this base room is. I'll tell you what the base room is called here. Yeah, everything's a suite. So the base room, this one is a 1,000 square foot desert suite, and this is coming up at $3,350 a night. And this is actually for next month. So March 4th to March 6th, so 2 nights, you're at $3,350 a night for 1,000 square foot desert suite. Let's see what my suite is. Mine was called the Mesa Pool Suite. So next month, the Mesa Pool Suite's $5,200 a night. So, I mean, it's still a pretty big premium, $3,300 to $5,200. But that's all in, including tax and fees.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
It's pricey.
I mean, listen, I'm interested. It's not somewhere I wouldn't want to go. The thought of dropping $3,500 a night and still being in Utah is a little tough. But I mean, I think if you can get over that mental hurdle, yeah, I mean, I've got a few Amans I would like to go see. I feel like I'm going to do some Amans outside of America just to sneak some more value out of there. I mean, we were playing around with some of the Amans in Sri Lanka. I think we were $600 a night.
That's a little bit different.
Right. I mean, do you want to be in Sri Lanka or Utah? Stuff. That's debatable.
I mean, this is a hotel. I don't think this is going to be, hey, let's go away for the, a quick weekend. This is probably, for the I want to say average person, for the above average person, because this is not 2 nights here is probably what many people spend on a week plus vacation.
Sure.
This would be probably like a milestone honeymoon anniversary, celebrate a big promotion, something like that. Because, I mean, you're going to be in for $10,000 for 3 nights.
Okay.
Or more.
I'm excited. So I'm going to bring us back to the beach. This is one of my favorite hotels in North America. I mean, it doesn't hold a candle. We want to, go feature for feature, but it's the Four Seasons Punta Mita, Mexico. Puerto Vallarta is going to be the closest airport. It's about a 45-minute ride. They've redone a lot of the property here since I've been. But it looks really good. And I think one of the things that gets me super excited is you have so many room options at this property. You've got villas, you've got the main buildings, you've got casitas, you've actually got residents that you can rent. And then I was showing you before, they have like a 50,000 square foot house you can rent here as well, which, that's where I'm going to be doing my,
That's our $30,000 suite episode.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be my, my very humble, 10-year anniversary hotel. Just go there and rent that thing out instead of one night at Amangiri. But all kidding aside, I had a struggle with Mexico because I really like a lot of hotels in Mexico, but I feel like the difference a lot of these hotels from base room to the suites doesn't really offer you much other than space. And so I really wanted Mexico. My 2 goals were to get Mexico and Hawaii. I couldn't find anything in Hawaii that was something I wanted to promote. Here's how I wound up at this property. So this is the Oceanfront Plunge Pool Casita, not to be mistaken for the Oceanfront rooms. So one of the reasons I landed on these casitas is they're built differently. They're kind of off the property a little bit more to the side. So I think there's a lot more privacy involved, which I liked. And then you get these huge panoramic views because you're so far out in the ocean away from the property of the whole ocean. Like it almost just looks like you're in like a remote home overlooking the Pacific Ocean, which I really liked. The room is pretty small. It's 645 square feet, and they say that includes the indoor and outdoor space. So probably means it's like a 400 square foot, room. However, you get a humongous pool. You got a question here?
Oh, I'm looking at the room. It looks awesome.
Okay. Yeah, and so I like the layout, especially the outdoor space here. I think they did a really good job. Now, some interesting things about this room as well. They will let you do 3 adults or 2 adults and 2 children. So it is family friendly in that sense. They have 1 king bed versions, 2 double bed versions, and then there's some other versions where you can bring in they say they'll let you bring in a crib. There's a queen sofa bed in the king room options. So there's a lot of versatility, I think, in this suite, which is really nice. It's pretty friendly on the budget side. Most nights I was looking between about $2,500 and $3,300, like as long as you're not in super peak season. I feel like the bathroom is a little on the boring side. It's like fully marble done, but it's not like overwhelming in any way, especially at that price point. I feel like they could have done a little bit better. But the casita has just kind of more of a unique, I feel like they did a better job being a little like southwesterny with like some of the art and decor. And it really looks like it's meant to be a lived in like indoor outdoor space. And like I did mention, and you'll see in some of the shorts and the clips, like the plunge pools are really big here. And so I just thought it was another really good entertainment type suite when you're on the beach. I want to touch on this property as well, even though we're really focusing on the suites. The food here is incredible. You're on this really private peninsula in Punta Mita that kind of removes you from, you're on this peninsula and there's a golf course. Maybe I made that up. Let me start that over. You're out on this peninsula and I know there's like 1 or 2 other hotels and that's it. And there's like private security to keep people out. There's not a lot of traffic. Four Seasons Punta Mita, every restaurant I went to is amazing. Breakfast, killer. And then you've got a big adults pool, a big kids club, a really incredible lazy river. And
I was
like
hoping
I
you
said,
were going to hit that.
yeah. And you've got some main pools. And so I kind of like this where you're away from all of that stuff because you're almost getting into the villas and residence side of the property in this casita. So you're not sharing walls and, you're not like crammed into the hotel, but you have access to all of that stuff. So I kind of feel like this hotel was the best of both worlds because in the $5,000, I couldn't really in good conscience say you could afford the villas. Like I went through the calendar and found a couple nights at like 4,200, but I mean, most of the time you're 5, 6, 7,000 for these villas, but you are getting more bedrooms too, right? So there's a little bit of a benefit to that as well. But if you're just going with a family and you've got some kids, to me, this seems like the really go-to option at this property.
Yeah, these are cool. And this place has been on my list just for the lazy river itself. And it just recently got renovated, right? At least the rooms I think did. I believe
They did. I was trying to figure out what they had spent on their full renovation. The downside is since they've renovated this place, they finished the renovation in 2023. I do remember that from my notes. I couldn't find like an amount. Usually they brag like we've spent $600 million to make our hotel beautiful. They did not promote that. It just says every story says multi-million-dollar renovation. So more than 1 million.
I'll say if it's Four Seasons, I'm sure it was a lot.
I'm sure it was a lot. But like I said, this property is just, the property has 10 restaurants and they do have golf courses. Jack Nicklaus designed golf course. I was like, I don't want to pull that back. And there's several pools. And like I said, you've got beachfront villas that have, terraces, private pools, hot tubs. And I don't know, there's just a lot of different rooms and options here. And there's so many restaurants, 2 golf courses. Like you can come here for any long, Labor Day, President's Day, time in the summer if you need to, Christmas. I don't think you ever need to leave this property. You can if you want, but like you could spend 5 or 6 nights here and I think everyone can have a great time. I think that's unique in a lot of ways these days.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome property. And like I said, that was one I would definitely love to check out, especially if I could find a deal in the off season some point.
Perfect. What do you got next, Mr. Jamie?
All right. Well, this is kind of funny. This is my second 3-bedroom accommodation. So my first one in Finland was 3-bedroom, but now we are going to go down to one of my favorite places. We are going to do Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, Jumbo House, Grand Villa. So this is a 3-bedroom grand villa, and it's got a Savannah view. So for people not familiar with Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, it's like a big U shape sort of that has a savanna in the middle with tons of safari type animals. So you've got, giraffes and zebras and all sorts of different animals that you can sit on your balcony and look at. So I think it's really cool. We've stayed there a number of times, Savannah view rooms, and we always enjoy hanging out on the balcony and seeing what kind of animals pass by. The 3-bedroom grand villa is a great option for large families, groups, maybe multi-generation, things like that. It comes in at 2,300 square feet, which is a really good size. You've got 3 full bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms. This room also comes with a full kitchen and washer and dryer. So, if you're coming with a bunch of kids, it's nice having that there, whether it's just throwing swimsuits in the dryer or you want to go home with clean clothes or you're there for an extended stay. We always love having a washer and dryer and the refrigerator to keep snacks and drinks and stuff in. The setup of the room is 1 king bed, which would you kind of figure like the master bedroom, and then 2 additional rooms that each have 2 queen beds in it, and then a queen sleeper sofa. So this room will actually sleep up to 12 adults. So it's a really good size accommodation. One of my favorite features of this room, which is not something you see very often, is in addition to the living room and the kitchen and everything, there is a room that has a pool table in it. So kind of cool, kind of a unique feature. If you're hanging out with a big group, it's got you something else for the kids to do or the adults to do. But the room itself is really cool. The theming, it's got really good like African theming that goes with the whole resort vibe. It's 3 separate big like half circle shaped balconies. So 3 different independent spaces that you can go out to and look out over the savannah and hang out and check out the animals. The pool area is great here. It's got a fun slide. There's a bunch of good dining options here. So it's a cool resort. It's not my favorite location for doing theme parks and stuff, but it's one of my favorite resorts for actual resorts. So if you're going to spend time on hanging out at the resort, which I would do if I'm booking this 3-bedroom grand villa, I would love to spend time just hanging out in the room and enjoying the animals. It's a beautiful property. So this one actually comes in fairly reasonable for a 3-bedroom, usually ranges from $3,500 to $4,500 a night, plus or minus. So for 3 bedrooms, if you're down in that low end, that's a pretty decent deal for what you're getting, in my opinion.
Couple questions.
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom. Now, I know there's some like restaurants and stuff that you can eat at that also have a view. Is that the same? Are those in the hotel essentially? Is that like in Animal Kingdom Lodge? Is that the same as the hotel?
Yeah. So Animal Kingdom Lodge is same as the hotel. I'm trying to think of which restaurants may have decent views. So you've got Boma, which is a buffet, which is a pretty popular spot. Then you've got Jiko and Sanaa, which are kind of higher end ones. I believe at least one of those has decent views. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, those are some decent, like really good restaurant options on property that you don't have to leave to go to.
Cool. Yeah. Also too, like if you just, aren't staying there is a place. What is the problem with Animal Kingdom Lodge or this hotel?
Location wise?
Yeah. Like what's your holdup or what's your issue?
So if you're going to Animal Kingdom, that theme park, it's very close. It's right there. So it's a quick drive or bus ride away. If you're going to Magic Kingdom or, Epcot Hollywood Studios, it's a little bit further away, and your only transportation from there is either driving yourself or taking the bus, which my tip for everybody, if you're staying on Disney property, particularly somewhere like Animal Kingdom, is either use Uber or really I would prefer Lyft because you can actually book the Disney minivans via Lyft. And if you're not familiar with the Disney minivans, they are like, Chevy Suburbans or, similar size SUVs that are red with white polka dots. It's actually Disney employees that drive them. They just use the Lyft system for calling and scheduling them, but they drop you off like right front row in the park. So if you take an Uber or something to Magic Kingdom, they're dropping you off at the transportation and ticket center. You still need to take a monorail or boat or something over. If you book a Disney minivan through Lyft, it's dropping you like right at the entrance of the park. So if you're staying there, use Uber, use Lyft. It's going to save you a bunch of time, and it makes your trip more enjoyable than waiting around for the buses, in my opinion.
And then if you're on Lyft, is there a distinguished like fare class for the Disney vans then?
Yep. Yeah, so if you're in Lyft on Disney property, it'll actually pull up the Disney minivan. Those are set pricing. It's not like, oh, it's $15 now, it's $20 now. It's always set pricing. And like I said, it's actual Disney employees, so it's not just some random person driving a Lyft. These are Disney employees driving Disney-owned vehicles that just use the Lyft system to schedule the rides.
Interesting. That's something I didn't know. I think at least we buried your golden nugget 51 minutes in as opposed. Last episode, we gave it away in the first 10 seconds. So it's okay. That's good to know. All right. So I'm going to the city for this one. And we are definitely going to run long on this one. So apologies to you,
That's all right.
People that love short podcast episodes. I'm going to Park Hyatt, New York, which I feel like is a very well-known, famous hotel. How I wound up on this is I think this is like such a unique and cool option in the city. And I love the Park Hyatt, New York. I think the on-property breakfast, the pool and gym up on the roof are second to none. This room we're pushing top of the budget again. It was about $3,500 to $4,500 most nights I looked at it. But here's the deal. It's 1,650 square feet in Manhattan. And a lot of the rooms you're either looking at, you've got this big all glass kind of, they're all in the corners because the living room is essentially into the corner of the room. You've got great views of the city. Now, they didn't list this as a differentiator, and in the test photos I wouldn't, but I would imagine some of them obviously have to have a Central Park view as well, just based on how the building looks. It's like such an absurd use of space just because it's so big. They have a whole entire room, probably like a 200 square foot room that just only has the tub in it. And it's like tucked away in the corner, like up against the window. And it's like all marble to the ceiling. And you've got this like big window. And so like, just when you're talking like, hey, I'm stuck in a city hotel, it's not what you think. And it almost has a little bit of like a residential feel to it. You've got like a full desk, a full like living room where you could entertain. And then there's like doors everywhere, to like distinguish some of the room says. And there's a full dining room table, I think, that could seat like 8 people. That was like kind of in the center of the room. So, I mean, yeah, exactly. Like you could just really there's a butler's pantry, for when you're talking being in New York City. I mean, the bathroom itself must be 300 square feet, which is probably bigger than the average standard room, right? In New York City.
You may have said it. Is this the Carnegie suite?
Yes. Sorry. The 1-bedroom Carnegie suite. Did I not say that in the beginning?
I don't know. I'm on the Park Hyatt site. I'm trying to find pictures. This is nice. This is really nice.
Sorry about that. I think I might not have said that. I might have gotten too excited. But yeah, the 1-bedroom Carnegie suite, 1,650 square feet. They're all in the corners. Like I said, the living rooms are, come through the corner. You've got a dining table for 8, butler pantry, a Toto electric toilet. Who doesn't want that? A walk-in rain shower, big oversized tub with a view.
Yeah, I mean, that tub alone, that view looks amazing.
Yeah. And, I just think the space, I think in New York City, right, space is a luxury in itself. So even if you don't have a practical use for all of these things, I think it's cool to have. And then I'm like, man, if you're working here, you could have some people come in and entertain. You could probably, I'm sure, arrange with a property or whatever to have your dinner served there for you and your friends, or do a business meeting and dinner when you're in town there. And I just feel like when you think about dollar per square foot to pay $4,000 for 1,650 square feet, when you think about, like I said, an average standard room is $300, you're basically buying 5 or 6 standard rooms, right?
Not $300, 300 square feet.
Oh, yes.
You're not saying it's Park Hyatt for $300.
Yeah, sorry, man. Falling apart. We're, getting to the hour mark here. I'm falling apart. Yeah, the designs are done really well. Seems like a nice layout. I love that they've got this big oversized work desk, because it seems like desks are like a thing of the 1900s now,
right?
The 1000s,
the late 1900s.
Yeah,
I actually have a
that's
stay coming up here in December. I'm going to see maybe if
okay.
I slip them a 20 a check and they're going to give me the Carnegie suite.
I don't think a 20, I don't think
I
a
don't
20
think
is going to
so.
get you there. I'm sure if you did a great Hyatt prevay booking, with a guaranteed upgrade at booking, maybe we could sort that out for you,
Right.
sir.
Yeah,
Oh
this looks
man,
fantastic.
agreed. So what's your next one?
So the next one is actually going to be a suite and room, or a room that I actually stayed in. So this is the Raffles Hotel in Singapore. This is a pretty famous property. This is where the Singapore sling was invented. So if you're staying there, you go to the bar where the Singapore sling was invented. They actually have a hallway at this property that is pictures of all the celebrities and politicians. And I mean, everyone, like every big name person throughout the years seems to have stayed here. I didn't see my picture on the wall, but I photoshopped one in when I made my Facebook post. But yeah, I mean, just the who's who of the world has stayed at this property. The room I'm going to talk about is the residential suites. So they have 5 residential suites, and each suite actually has its own name, and they're named for famous local cinemas. I stayed in a room called Theater Royale or Theater Royal, and I'm going to try and hold this up so you can see it. This is probably the coolest at check-in, coolest hotel key I've ever gotten. So you actually get this key that has your room like embossed on it. So it's a leather key, and each one has the name of the actual suite you're staying in, which is pretty cool. I didn't book into this suite because it's $2,000 plus per night. I booked a closer to a standard room and managed to score an upgrade to this property. It was booked a virtuoso booking. I don't know if this upgrade's normal or not, but I stayed in, like I said, I stayed in Theater Royal. It was 1,300 to 1,500 square feet, so it was a decent size suite. They have a private entrance in a section called the Arcade. So you go outside of like the main building and you come over to these residential suites. You go through a door and then there's 5 separate entrances to each suite. It comes with, like I said, private entrance. The layout's really big. So you walk in, you had seating area, little office area, full living room, really nice sized bedroom. The bathroom was really nice, like very classic luxury vibe. It had a butler. I only did one night here, so didn't really use the butler for anything necessarily. But we spent a ton of time just hanging out on the property. Like I said, we do the Singapore slings, the pool area. They've got kind of like a hallway museum with all the who's who. The breakfast there was really good. Just a really cool property. From there, I mean, I walked all the way. I say all the way. It wasn't a super far walk, but you could walk over to like the Marina Bay Sands. All the stands and stuff were up for Formula One when I was there, so that was kind of cool to see. But yeah, it's just a really unique property. Just one fun fact, like in addition to the 5 named residential suites, they also have 12 personality suites. And they're named after, you've got people like John Wayne, Elizabeth Taylor, Charlie Chaplin. So just different famous people that have stayed over the years have gotten suites named after them. So really cool property. I would definitely, if you're in Singapore and you can splurge on a night there, you don't have to do a residential suite, do a standard room. You might be able to get it in the $800 to $1,000 range. It is definitely worth the stay. Like I would put that on your list to check out. It's a destination in itself.
I'm looking at some of these personality suites, and some people are lacking a little bit of famous personality, perhaps. But fair enough, fair enough. Interesting. I have been to Singapore, and I've never been to this hotel, and it's kind of always been on my things to do, and I've never done it. So you've kind of convinced me. It sounds like I need to.
It's cool if you're there. I would say even if you don't stay there, stop by go through the bar, check out the Singapore sling. You've got all the bellmen and everything still wear like maybe we can put pictures up, but they've got like I don't want to call them costumes, but their uniforms are like, really cool. This is a very like classic looking hotel. It's probably like old European looking versus modern like type hotel.
And there's lots of like patios and like outdoor space kind of, right? Like big courtyards and walkways.
Tons
and
of
things
courtyards
like
and outdoor walkways. Yeah. So I don't know, other than the main building, I think most of the suites and stuff actually have like exterior entrances from different, what they call like one section, the arcade, but different outdoor covered walkways and tons of patios. Same with like the courtyard for the pool. Like just like all the buildings built all around like these courtyards and pool areas and stuff.
I do really like that. And then real quick, just for anyone that doesn't know or is interested, the Singapore sling standard drinkware is a hurricane glass, so that's exciting. And it says it's 30 milliliters of gin, 15 milliliters of cherry liqueur, 7.5 milliliters of Contrao, 7.5 milliliters of Dom, 120 milliliters of pineapple juice, 15 milliliters of lime juice, 10 milliliters of grenadine, and 1 dash of bitters. Pour all ingredients into a cocktail shaker and fill with ice cube.
And what's cool, if you go there, they actually have like this machine's, I mean, I don't know how old it is. It's probably 100 years old. It is a big machine. They put all the drinks in, and then you manually can crank the handle. And so you may be able to actually crank it and like shake these drinks, which is really cool. Maybe we can get a video of that up, because that was kind of a highlight. And I'm not a gin drinker at all. I think it tastes like Christmas trees, but in this, it tastes like fruit punch, and it was delicious.
I don't drink anymore, but I do like gin. So it says they give some credit. It looks like the drink was created sometime between 1899 and 1915 at Raffles Hotel. I mean, that's just cool that the hotel's even been around since 1899.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I do like that. All right. My fifth property is somewhere I think anyone that's been listening to this podcast is pretty familiar with at this point. I feel like we beat this place to death a little bit. And I somehow closed my tab, so I will stall while I get it going here. But it is the Rosewood Baha. Now, I think, you can obviously go and look at ad nauseum. We have an hour plus podcast about Baha, and I will be returning soon in July. And I think we're going to do a whole other room update and some things. But I really wish there's these 2-bedroom suites that are about 1,500 square feet that look really, really cool. Could not fit those in the budget. However, I got the Garden View Grand 1-bedroom suite, and there's an ocean view as well. But I'm going to pull up some of the details on the Garden View. It is 1,455 square feet. It is 1 full bath, 1.5 bath. It does come on the lower floors. You have a dedicated butler team. You get a nice big fresh fruit bowl upon arrival. They will press 2 garments per stay, which is always exciting. They will give you a pre-selected pantry stock. And there's some extra cabana and poolside credits that come with these suites as well, which I thought was nice. Now, I went ahead and picked the Rosewood because it's the biggest suite and we had a $5,000 budget. These seem to fall in about the $3,000 to $4,000 range for most nights. You get a humongous oversized living room. And then I think the Rosewood is just designed really well. And you come in the front doors and you have a half bath right to the side. And then the bedroom is everything to the right side. And you've got a shower, you've got a big soaking tub in the middle. And then you have a full kitchen as you go around the right side. You've got a dining table for 6, and then you've got a huge living room. And then I think the coolest thing about these rooms, once again, you have a humongous balcony, right? You've got another like outdoor table for 5. You've got some like chase lounges. You've got a few other chairs and a couch. And, the Rosewood, if you're looking at the 3 hotel options in Baha Mar, is obviously going to be the most high end. It is the top of top service that you're looking for. One thing I don't like about this suite, for as big as it is at 1,455 square feet, they cap you out at 3 guests. They don't even clarify for kids and things. So 2 adults, 2 kids. I mean, I'd be happy, or I'm sure Jamie would be as well, to call and message them and try and wiggle our way in there if we could. I'm not sure how tight they would be on that, but it seems pretty silly to only be allowing 3 kids
especially
in
at that
a 1,400 square foot room. And the coolest thing I think that they did that was really nice is they put the kitchen side of the room as far from the bedroom as possible. So from like a noise constraint, I think that's always pretty nice. You've got a full fridge, freezer, toaster. You've got an espresso original machine. You have a full stove with vent hood as well. I feel like I wish there was like a little something extra to sweeten these rooms. Like wish they had like a little outdoor fireplace or something, maybe like a little fun. But that's being real nitpicky. Like I said, you can look up, we have tons to say about the Bahamas, and I feel like we're running very long. But I will say, as a cheaper alternative, Jamie, you're the one that turned me on to these. If you want to throw in a few words about it as well, the SLS has these kind of unique 1-bedroom suites that I think are not as impressive and not as luxurious as this, and you lose some of those things like butler service, the Rosewood exclusive beach. But give me like a 30, 60-second pitch deck maybe on the SLS 1-bedroom suites.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one of the big selling points for me with SLS right now is the suites were just renovated. So, I mean, they literally just finished renovating the rooms back in December. So if you're staying at SLS, all these things are going to be, fresh and nice and new. I always recommend if you're booking at SLS, there's usually not a huge price difference to go from a superior suite to like one of the residential suites, and you get 50% more space. So you're getting about 1,000 square feet. It's a good layout. So if you have 4 people, like it's a great layout. You got the fold out couch. You can bring your rollaway in if you need to. And it just gives you a bunch of space there. And it gives you, the residential suite gives you the full kitchen as well. So you've got the fridge and stuff like that. So if you're going to do it, I try to steer people towards the residential suite because it's usually not a huge price premium over the superior suite, and you're getting 50% more space.
And then you don't even really necessarily need the pull out in most cases, right? Because they're all king rooms with a queen pull out. Their room capacity is 4, so a little more friendly for the big rooms. And you get a full laundry in those as well, correct?
Yeah, I believe
a full washer.
So yeah,
they've got a full washer and dryer. So, and those are generally under $2,000 a night. I don't think I've really ever seen them above 2,000 unless you're like super peak time.
Yeah, I actually booked quite a few of them for spring break coming up, and yeah, they priced out pretty competitively, even against some standard rooms and stuff. So it's a good option.
Yeah. So just obviously I'm bringing our old hat property on here, but I do love me some Baha Mar. I just want to give a shout out to those. Yeah, the Ocean View 1-bedroom residence, and I'm not going to discourage you from going to Rosewood if you want Rosewood. You get more exclusivity. It's a little quieter. I think the staff is probably trained a little bit better. You get an exclusive beach. So there is some value to Rosewood, but if all that stuff you're going, I don't care, I'm going to be at the water park all day. I think SLS 1-bedroom residence, you lose 500 square feet. I think the Juliet balcony at the SLS is a lot smaller. So if you like being in your room but outdoor space, the Rosewood might get an edge there. But that's my last suite. We're finishing up in the Bahamas after my residential stay in New York City.
All right. Well, I'm going to, I went rogue going out of the country on a bunch of these. So this last one's going to take us to Mayo, Ireland. And we are going to be staying at Ashford Castle. So I don't know how I stumbled upon this one. It is again, a budget buster. I tried to push us to the limit. This one's coming in right around $5,000 a night. And this is not going to be super impressive square footage wise. I think this room comes in, or this suite, it's called a stateroom, but it is more of a junior suite type room. This is coming in probably in the 500 to 600 square feet range. But massive high ceilings. It's got this, I mean, if you've ever seen Downton Abbey, it looks like you're coming straight out of, whatever time period that was. Like you're in a castle. The decor kind of fits that, theme. You've got lots of, it's carpeted, the wallpaper. It looks like some of the rooms have 4-poster beds. You've got fireplaces in the room, chandeliers. 15-foot tall ceilings. It looks super impressive. The theming may not necessarily be my vibe, but if I'm staying in a castle, it's exactly what I would want. You know what I mean? It fits that castle feel. It's right on a lake. The grounds look really nice. It seems like everything I've read, the reviews are really good. Service is great there. It just looks like a really cool property to check out. Probably similar to the, what was the Four Seasons Hampshire? Like a lot of outdoor stuff, right? You've got kayaking and horseback riding and fishing and falconry and, kind of stuff that you would expect to do at a castle, archery, clay shooting, things like that.
Yeah, it does look a little bit like Four Seasons Hampshire. I will say they've kind of leaned more into the castle-y. Like it seems like the rooms are designed a little more old school. Like I don't really know how to feel with some of these like headboards.
It's like Victorian, right? Would that be the right?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just imagining like going through the pictures. There's like this one room that is like all yellow flowers. It's like the bedding, the chair, the wallpaper. I'm like, I don't know if I could do that for a couple nights, but some of them do look pretty cool.
It's not my vibe.
Yeah, I have had a client stay here and they swear by this place. They think Ireland is the greatest destination on the planet, and everything I ask them about it all just comes back to this hotel. So I'm like, okay, so really you just like this hotel, not the country of Ireland. Yeah, no offense to the country of Ireland.
Right.
But this hotel left quite an impression. I think looking at the spa, it's awesome. I think with my daughter, when you look at pictures of the property, there's like almost like a drawbridge you drive over to get to the castle. And then there's like this big river that kind of wraps around it. I would totally convince my daughter that was a moat, that there were sharks and alligators in it, and just, really lean into
There's definitely
Yeah, sharks with
dragons.
laser beams. Yeah. But it's 83 rooms, so it's definitely a reasonable size. It says it's like an 800-year-old building. Yeah, I like it. I think it's cool. Where did you cover this and did I miss this? Where in Ireland are we? Like, are we far from Dublin and Cork, or like where is this place?
This is Kong County, Mayo, Ireland.
Okay. How far are we from civilization and society? Let's
So that
see.
is a good question. I'm probably going to have to
You're like
take a look at
square up.
that.
You're like basically directly across Ireland from Dublin. It's almost like a straight line.
Okay.
So it says it's a 3-hour drive. It's not too
That's not
bad.
terrible.
I've also heard driving around Ireland is really pretty. So I'm sure you could incorporate some other things, like just looking on Google Maps. There's a lot of like tourist attractions on this drive. So I imagine at least
Yeah,
it's
I
pretty
mean, I feel like
beautiful to
this
see.
wouldn't be you're not going to do a week here, right? You probably mix this in for like 2 nights in a bigger, Ireland trip would be my advice.
Yeah, okay. Oh, you're a little closer to Limerick. Cork looks pretty far. Yeah, I'm into it. I like it. So how about this? Before we close up here, I don't want to just stop cold turkey. What of my 5 hotels, what do you think you would pick as if you had one destination for free and one of my 5 suites, which one would you pick?
I mean, I'm going Four Seasons Punta Mita. That's been on my
Okay.
list. The recently renovated rooms are an appealing, kind of selling point. And then when I looked at the views, I mean, you're sitting in the room, it almost like you're floating above the ocean, looking out over the ocean. So that's probably my choice. I guess I'll ask you the same then.
I
I think I know
I'm
the
not
answer.
you probably don't actually. I actually think I'm gonna go Raffles Singapore.
Okay.
And one of
I
the
was thinking
reasons
Amangiri, but
yeah, that was the easy one, right? That was the given. If I was being realistic, I'm going to go with the Aman. In this hypothetical talking, I kind of like the idea of Raffles Singapore because I've never had a great hotel experience in Singapore. Stayed in several hotels, the St. Regis, the Grand Hyatt, the Andaz, the JW Marriott. I think the Intercontinental even there. I've just never had a great hotel experience there. I don't think I've ever had like a really bad hotel experience. And the St. Regis is great in a very like the St. Regis is my favorite hotel I've stayed in, and they do a really good job keeping the hotel old and renovated, but they service it well. It's upkept nice. But I actually don't even find myself really liking Singapore, and I think part of it is I've never had a great hotel experience. So the appeal to me with Raffles is the more I looked at it, I got real sucked into it, and I was like, I think it could almost reimagine how I feel about Singapore or make me like Singapore. And, you just always kind of wind up there when you're hopping around Asia because there's just, connectivity wise, there's so many flights. So, yeah, I think Raffles is something that I think could change my perspective of a place. I don't really have an opinion about Southern Utah. So, I mean, the Amon's just going to put me there either way. So I think that was the most interesting, I think, property you turned me on to at least.
and I mean, like I said, I feel like it's a destination within a destination. So like if you're going there, it's not a place to sleep. Like you want to spend some time on property and kind of soak in the history. It was a really cool spot. I will say
Yeah.
probably my favorite. I stayed at 3 hotels in Singapore. I did the Four Seasons, Marina Bay Sands, and Raffles. And Raffles was definitely my favorite, with Marina Bay Sands being my least favorite, which was kind of a shocker.
Wow. I think we got to talk about that on a future podcast. You didn't enjoy Instagramming the floating
I mean,
pool?
that's I mean, that's pretty much why you stay there. Like it was, yeah. I mean, not that it was a bad hotel or anything, but out of the 3 I stayed at, that was probably my least favorite.
Well, how about this? Does the price really impact how you feel about it? Because I feel like it's very overpriced for what you're getting.
I mean, I don't know that impacted it hugely. It was just, I did 3 hotels kind of back to back. I did a couple nights at Four Seasons. I think I did 2 nights at Marina Bay Sands and then 1 at Raffles. Yeah, so I did 3 nights at Four Seasons, 2 nights at Marina Bay Sands, and 1 at Raffles. And I just feel like service, room quality, just overall, I would go Raffles, Four Seasons, and then Marina Bay Sands. Marina Bay Sands to me, like you're there for the property. You got the rooftop pool. I mean, you got the gardens and everything, which are fantastic. So, um, it was cool, but yeah, it didn't blow me away.
Okay. Wow. Hot take to close this out. We've upset everybody at the, I don't know, Sands Hotel property.
All right.
I will say I like the mall there. I haven't actually bothered with the hotel, but I think that would be one of my bigger turnoffs. I imagine it just seems very high traffic.
Yeah, I mean, you got the casino in there, which was, I mean, casino's cool. Um, but yeah, like you said, it was very high traffic, right? Like it's a destination that people are in town for. They're going to go check out Marina Bay Sands.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Well, I think this show's over. I think this might be our longest episode yet. I will have to see once we edit it up a little bit, but it's going to be close. And then
We're up there.
hopefully one of our big listeners will just book a suite at all five.
That's right. Then they
Call it a
can
day.
weigh in on which their favorites are.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll get some real life feedback. That'd be fantastic. All right, guys. Awesome. Appreciate you sticking through with this one. And if you need any help booking, like I said, we're here. Visit our contact form. We'd love to help you out with any upcoming trips.
All right. See you all. Have a great weekend.